3-year-old Elio Parsons loves to play doctor. That's really not surprising. He's been seeing a lot of them his entire young life.
So Elio was 9 weeks premature, completely out of nowhere, no signs, had a very healthy, easy pregnancy. And when he was born, his lungs weren't expanding, so he was given surfactant treatment to help them expand, and then he was life-flighted to Geisinger at Danville.
Despite living in Altoona, Elio was delivered in State College, which unfortunately doesn't have a neonatal intensive care unit that he would need.
It is a situation in which optimally they're delivering at a center with a NICU, which State College doesn't have. So he starts his life dramatically with a helicopter ride. He starts his life before he gets in the helicopter because, again, no preparation for being born early, needing to be intubated, placed on a ventilator. So here's a child who from the very beginning is dependent in those first few hours of life on our technology, the technology which the telethon obviously helps us provide the best for. So the best transport isolates, getting in the air. If he hadn't been in the air, how do we get him here by ground using our ground ambulance? Then going on a ventilator, rapidly then coming off a ventilator and going onto our non-invasive devices, CPAP.
We spent a full month there. We were very fortunate. He had great care and he made great strides there. Most of the time there was spent just waiting for him to grow and learn to eat on his own.
Eventually, Elio would go home, but unfortunately, his ordeal was not over.
He throws a curveball towards the end, though, which is he'd had something called a patent ductus arteriosus, or a PDA for short. It's a blood vessel outside the heart that when you're born at term is supposed to get signals to close. When you're born prematurely, your body gets kind of messed up, doesn't know, close, don't close, close, don't close. So we know early on his was kind of struggling, but it didn't get him into trouble.
I'm not much of a worrier, so I kind of just thought, oh, over time it'll get better and it'll close. So we had our first follow-up with Dr. Ahmad here in Altoona after we got home. And I kind of just went in, I was like, oh, so it's just going to be a routine follow-up and it's either going to be the same or it's going to be better. And kind of got the wind knocked out of me because Dr. Ahmad was very alarmed. He said it got very large, and he thought that he might have to send him in to have surgery.
A little emotional for me, and I'm not a very emotional person to begin with, but so it was hard on me then.
We then at this point are also lucky enough to have 2 of our cardiologists who can do intensive cardiologists, invasive cardiology. So that's Dr. Mangano and Dr. Bishnoi. And in this case, it's Dr. Mangano who ultimately, after a couple rough starts and rough goes, finally got Elio to the cath lab. And basically, instead of opening from the outside and putting a clip across, you're putting in a coil into this open vessel and then closing it over time.
Once again, Elio would return home, and then Elio would have another curveball to throw.
Because he was just kind of doing a follow-up to see how it looked, make sure the device was in place still, and it was not there. He couldn't find it anywhere. So he sent us over to get x-rays, and they found it lodged in his right lung artery. So then we had to go back. It was not even a week later, within a week, a couple days. Yeah. It was right around the 4th of July. Yeah. So it was maybe 4 days later or something. He had to go back in, remove the old device, and then hope that they could fit a larger device or a different device back through the cath again. So at the end of all that, luckily, they were able to get the other device out, put a new device in, kept us overnight that time so they could scan him again before we were discharged, and everything went well. And it has been almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years this summer. And now we're just at 1 year follow-ups with Dr. Ahmad, and as you can see, you wouldn't notice that he's been through anything.
It is your Children's Miracle Network donations that help make Elio's recovery possible. And who knows, a few years from now, it may be Elio who's treating future miracle kids.